What makes a location among the most haunted places in the world? If you believe in ghosts, then you likely believe that every old building hides a secret or two. Sure, one can explain a creaking floorboard or flickering light in a 19th century mansion. But what if there's more to it than just that? Whether it's the pair of brides who took their lives in the same room decades apart to the headless apparition of a famous royal, some of the world's scariest locales can take your breath away for reasons that have nothing to do with architecture or faulty light switches. From a Victorian jailhouse to an Arkansan hotel that supposedly opens a portal to the spirit world, this collection of haunted restaurants, homes, hotels, jails, ghost towns, and even ocean liners, provides a tour of 38 spooky spots around the world that visitors never want to leave, potentially even after death. 1. Winchester Mystery House, San Jose, California. Following the death of her husband, rifle magnate William Wirt Winchester, Sarah Winchester commissioned a Victorian labyrinth designed to repel the vengeful spirits of the lives taken by her husband's guns. The sprawling Queen Anne-style mansion, comprising 4 stories, 160 rooms, 10,000 window panes, and 47 stairways, is appointed with curious elements, such as staircases leading directly into the ceiling and windows that open onto secret passages. 2. Corvin Castle, Romania. Corvin Castle is most famous for being home to Vlad III, better known as Vlad the Impaler, whose despicable acts of bloodthirsty torture inspired Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. The awe-inspiring Renaissance Gothic-style castle is said to be haunted by the spirits of the lives taken within these castle walls. Several paranormal fanatics and documentarians have investigated the estate, hoping to find if the story of Dracula is truly a myth. 3. Poveglia Island, Venice, Italy. A short gondola ride from the romantic canals of Venice, Poveglia Island holds the decaying remains of an early 20th century insane asylum. Originally a quarantine zone for those suffering from the bubonic plague, Poveglia reportedly played host to brutal medical experiments. The asylum closed when a doctor flung himself from the institution's highest tower. 4. Lawang Sou, Semarang, Indonesia. Lawang Sou, which translates to 1,000 doors in Javanese, was originally little more than the headquarters of the Dutch East Indian Railway Company and an exemplar of New Indie-style architecture. But under Japanese occupation during World War II, it became a house of horrors where brutal torture and executions were the norm. Though long since abandoned, widespread rumors of ghost stories abound, so much so that even Indonesia's Ministry of Tourism encourages tourists to check out what they describe as one of the country's most haunted landmarks. 5. Casa Loma, Toronto. Businessman Henry Pellet's Gothic Revival Castle was completed in 1914, and includes secret passages and storage areas. There have been rumors of ghosts on the property for years, and the estate is now decked out as a haunted house during the Halloween season. 6. Driscoll Hotel, Austin, Texas. The historic Romanesque landmark, which was opened in 1886 by cattle baron Jesse Driscoll, has hosted many big-name celebrities and politicians throughout the years. It also has a well-known history of paranormal activity following the deaths of several guests, including the suicide brides, 2 honeymooning women who took their own lives in the same room 20 years apart. 7. 1 If by land, 2 If by sea, New York City. This West Village restaurant is consistently rated as one of the most romantic in New York and is set in the one-time carriage house of Aaron Burr. The eatery is reportedly haunted by upwards of 20 ghosts, including Burr and his daughter, Theodosia. 8. Kehoe House, Savannah, Georgia. Set on Savannah's Columbia Square, the Queen and Brick Mansion was completed in May of 1892 for William and Anne Kehoe and their 10 children, a few of which died in the house. The building was converted into a bed and breakfast in 1992, and guests have reported hearing the sounds of children playing. 9. Edinburgh Castle, Scotland. Nestled at the head of Edinburgh's Old Town, this 12th century fortress was, for many years, an active military base. If its stone walls could talk, they would tell grim tales, including that of a piper who entered the castle's tunnels never to be seen, or heard from, again. To this day, visitors report music echoing through the fort's empty chambers. 10. Château de Brissac, Brissac-Quince, France. The tallest building in the Loire Valley, Château de Brissac, is perhaps best known as the site of the grisly murder of Charlotte of France. Legend has it that Charlotte, the illegitimate daughter of King Charles VII, was killed by her husband after he discovered her adulterous behavior. The Green Lady, named for the color of the dress in which she met her end, is said to haunt the castle's tower. 11. Bangor Fort, India. Less than 200 miles outside of Delhi, the lush ruins of Bangor Fort make for a curious juxtaposition against the desert landscape of Rajasthan. To this day, the oasis remains largely uninhabited due to an alleged curse cast by a disgruntled sorcerer after his advances were rebuffed by a local princess. 12. Hay House, Macon, Georgia. Sometimes called the Palace of the South, the mid-19th century Johnston Felton Hay House was commissioned by businessman William Butler Johnston. Inspired by Johnston's travels, the property was constructed in the Italian Renaissance Revival style and boasted contemporary amenities, unique at the time, such as hot and cold running water, central heat, and a speaker tube. Visitors to the house, which is now open to the public, have reported lingering spirits on the third floor. 13. Ennis House, Los Feliz, California. Built from 27,000 perforated concrete blocks, Ennis House is the largest and last remaining of Frank Lloyd Wright's textile block homes. Its idiosyncratic aesthetic has attracted filmmakers for decades, most notably inspiring environments in Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, 1982, and the 1959 film House on Haunted Hill. Though no actual hauntings have been reported, observers are quick to note how the home's warm courtyards and airy hallways take on a silent, mausoleum-like quality after the sun sets. 14. Rainham Hall, Norfolk, England. Completed in 1637, Rainham Hall is considered one of the most splendid English country homes of its time. The estate has garnered an infamous reputation, thanks to the Brown Lady of Rainham Hall. Believed to be the spirit of the adulterous Lady Dorothy Walpole, the Brown Lady caused an uproar when a photograph purporting to have captured her essence was published in the December 1936 edition of Country Life magazine. 15. St. Augustine Lighthouse, St. Augustine, Florida. The St. Augustine Lighthouse, the first in Florida, earned a dark place in Civil War history when its light was removed to disrupt Union shipping. Visitors report encounters with the friendly spirit of Union artillery officer cum lightkeeper William A. Harn. 16. The Stanley Hotel, Estes Park, Colorado. This neo-Georgian mountain hideaway is best known as the inspiration for Stephen King's The Shining. Its staff claims it is only visited by happy ghosts, and that nearly every room has a unique ghost story, like that of the maid from room 217, who is known to pack away guests' clothing when they aren't looking. 17. The Queen Mary, Long Beach, California. After sailing the Atlantic for more than 30 years, the RMS Queen Mary dropped a permanent anchor in Long Beach, California, in 1967. The decommissioned ocean liner, resplendent with gilded Art Deco finishings, is still accepting reservations. Just don't expect to get too far. With more than 50 deaths recorded aboard the ship during her charter as a luxury liner, tales abound of the Queen Mary's haunting. 18. Ancient Ram Inn, Watton-under-Edge, England. England's ancient Ram Inn boasts more spirits than an average pub's liquor rack. Built on the site of what is believed to have been a 12th century pagan burial ground, the inn reports hauntings by at least 20 otherworldly visitors. With ghostly children, a high priestess, and even an incubus, Google is your friend, but don't say you weren't warned. Wandering the halls, guests have reportedly leapt from the windows in a frenzy to escape. 19. Amityville Horror House, New York. Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot 6 members of his family on November 13, 1974, in what is now known as the Amityville Horror House, but the haunting of 112 Ocean Avenue was relatively unknown until the Lutz family bought the house in 1975. The Lutzes reported extreme paranormal activity from the moment they moved in, including uncovering the creepily hidden red room, doors slamming by themselves, and mysterious voices demanding a priest blessing the home to get out. The family lasted 26 days in the house before moving out. 20. Bodie State Historic Park, California. What was once a bustling mining town is now a desolate wasteland speckled with beautiful buildings, kept on life support by the National Parks team. Simply traipsing through the abandoned town is enough to set your hair on end. Those who have ventured into the town have reported seeing phantom miners and even hearing mining noises in the long-retired shafts. 21. Akershus Fortress, Norway. Akershus Fortress was built in the late 1290s as the ultimate defense against foreign attacks and was instrumental in the 7 Years' War. The sprawling fortress is now used for some royal functions and can be toured by the public. However, locals say its war-torn past has yet to leave, noting that some have seen the ghosts of soldiers roaming the halls. 22. Castle of Good Hope, Cape Town, South Africa. Built by the Dutch East India Company in the mid-1600s, the bastion-style fort is now a historical monument in Cape Town and a local hotbed for paranormal activity. The castle is said to contain the ghost of violent ruler Governor Van Noot, who supposedly died of a heart attack while ordering a hanging. The common tale is that one of the men doomed for the noose cursed the governor before being executed, sealing his soul to the castle forever. 23. The Cavalier, Virginia Beach, Virginia. In June of 1929, Adolf Coors, founder of Coors Beer, excused himself from the table mid-breakfast and proceeded to his 6th-floor room, where he jumped from the window to his death. In a hotel as old as the Cavalier, there are more than a few skeletons in its past. However, the death of Mr. Coors is the most well-known and the most haunting. A couple who held their wedding at the Cavalier claimed that the apparition of Mr. Coors is present in their wedding photos. Other guests report ghostly activity on the 6th floor. Since the Cavalier's $80 million renovation was completed, there has reportedly been less activity, but the only way to know for sure is to book a room on the 6th floor and find out for yourself. 24. Leap Castle, Ireland. The bloody legend of Leap Castle dates back to its construction in the late 13th century. Having been inhabited by several destructive Irish clans throughout history, many violent deaths have taken place within these storied walls, trapping the victims' souls for eternity. One of the most disturbing aspects of the castle's construction is the hidden oubliette, which held the bodies of nearly 150 people and was not discovered until the 1920s. The Red Lady seen holding a dagger is the most commonly cited ghost on the grounds. 25. Isla de las Muñecas, Island of the Dolls, Mexico. The story of Isla de las Muñecas begins when its sole resident and caretaker, Don Julian Santana Barrera, found a lifeless young girl, who had apparently died from drowning, and a floating doll in the water as he was walking the island. Julian took the doll and strung it high in a tree to pay homage to the girl's spirit. Over the years, more dolls were placed on the trees throughout the island. Julian, and some visitors, claim that the dolls are possessed by the spirits of girls who passed too soon, reporting that the dolls would move independently and even speak to passers-by. 26. Lizzie Borden House, Fall River, Massachusetts. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. The haunting nursery rhyme originated with the 1892 murders of Andrew and Abby Borden. Their New England-style house blends beautifully into the lovely background of Massachusetts, nearly disguising the atrocities that took place inside. The home is now a museum and bed and breakfast for those brave enough to stay overnight. Electricity surges, shadowy figures, and floors creaking overhead when no one is in the house have been reported by guests and the proprietor. 27. Merchant's House Museum, New York. Built in 1832, this quaint townhouse is a shining example of late federal architecture and one of the first landmarked buildings in New York. The Greek Revival interiors have remained relatively the same since the Treadwell family's occupancy, which lasted nearly 100 years. Gertrude was the last Treadwell to reside in the home and died in the upstairs bedroom at the age of 93. Staff and visitors alike have reported that Gertrude's spirit remains in the home causing mischief. 28. Palacio de Linares, Madrid, Spain. Formerly the home of Marquis and Marchioness of Linares, this exquisite palace was built for Don José Murga and his wife, Raimundo Osorio. Hidden beneath its opulent exterior are trapped doors, disappearing staircases, and the ghost of Don José and Raimunda's daughter. Allegedly, a young girl is heard singing in the palace from time to time when there are no more visitors in the building. 29. The Red Onion Saloon, Skagway, Alaska. Located in the gold mining town of Skagway, the Red Onion Saloon was originally a saloon on the ground floor and a brothel on the second level when it opened in 1898. The classic saloon is a testament to the town's origins and a local favorite. Today, the building operates as a restaurant and offers tours of what was the brothel upstairs, although many of the restaurant staff say that one of the working ladies never left. The ghost of a woman known as Lydia shows herself rather frequently to patrons and staff alike. 30. Paris Catacombs, France. The 500 miles of winding catacombs that sit just underfoot of any Paris street have been a destination for paranormal curiosity since their creation in 1786. The underground maze of bones was parlayed into a deathly art exhibit, which can be toured by ticket holders. Interest in the catacombs was reignited recently when a camcorder was found along one of the passageways containing a disturbing tape taken by an unknown explorer as he becomes disoriented with his surroundings. The tape ends with the man screaming and running from an unknown entity, dropping his camera and only source of light, never to be seen again. 31. Ruthin Castle, Wales. Beneath the red sandstone facade of this gorgeous medieval castle lies a gruesome history that, supposedly, still haunts the estate today. The Grey Lady is the most active ghost that haunts the premises. This mysterious woman is said to be Lady Grey, wife of Reginald de Grey, who was put to death for murdering a peasant girl who she suspected to be having an affair with her husband. 32. Tower of London, England. Though the former fortress is flooded with tourists on a daily basis, the 900-year-old Tower of London is still one of the bloodiest places in Europe. Built by William the Conqueror in 1070, the sprawling fortress is most famously known for the number of royal deaths that have occurred there, including that of Anne Boleyn, whose headless apparition is said to haunt the hallowed halls of the tower. 33. Al Madam, United Arab Emirates. Roughly 40 miles from the glitz and glamour of Dubai, the ghost town of Al Madam is a stark reminder of just how merciless life in the desert can be once the veneer of modern luxury is stripped away. Built in the 1970s, this small community of a dozen homes and a mosque was abandoned within a decade, with rumors blaming jinn, supernatural spirits mentioned in the Quran that can take the shape of humans or animals, for the flight. In recent years, curious tourists have made the trip through the desert, finding homes filled nearly floor to ceiling with windswept sand, a sobering reminder that humankind's progress is ultimately no match for nature. 34. Pittock Mansion, Portland, Oregon. It's no coincidence that this French Renaissance-style chateau overlooking the Willamette River served as a filming location for not one but two 80s horror movies, 1982's Unhinged and 1989's The Haunting of Sarah Hardy, for those looking for something to add to their queue. Built in 1909 for newspaper magnate Henry Pittock and his wife Georgiana, the couple spent less than a decade in the home before passing on. Since the estate was purchased by the city of Portland in 1964, visitors taking public tours of the grounds have reported all sorts of mysterious sightings and odd occurrences, such as the inexplicable movement of paintings from one room to the next, the random slamming of windows, and a range of ghost sightings. 35. Crescent Hotel, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Built in 1886, the Crescent's ghost story truly begins in the 1930s. That's when untrained Dr. Norman Baker turned the Crescent into a sham hospital, hawking spring water-based cures for cancer. The morgue he used at the time supposedly functioned as a portal to the spirit world. Current Crescent ownership has embraced this haunted heritage, operating ghost tours of the grounds. But those who really want to immerse themselves in the paranormal can request to stay in room 218, an epicenter of ghostly activity within the property. 36. Crumlin Road Jail, Belfast, Northern Ireland. Any Northern Irish jail in operation during the Troubles, the conflict in Northern Ireland that from the late 1960s to 1998, is no stranger to misery. But Crumlin Road Jail's sordid 150-year history of, often public, executions and the subsequent burial of prisoners in unmarked graves has given restless spirits plenty of reason to stick around this Victorian prison. Operations ended in 1996, and modern guests can take guided paranormal tours of the prison's most haunted spaces. Be sure to steel your nerves before encountering a notorious padded cell in B Wing, known to conjure many ghastly visions and uneasy feelings over the years. 37. Larnac Castle, Dunedin, South Island, New Zealand. The foreboding lions standing guard outside Larnac Castle are far from the eeriest elements that mark this sprawling Gothic revival estate. The ghost of Kate Larnac, who died of typhoid at just 26, is said to waltz through the 3,000-square-foot ballroom added to the estate to celebrate her 21st birthday. Kate's father and family patriarch William James Moody Larnac would die by suicide in 1898, and some say his bearded spectre still haunts the grounds, and that the scent of cigar smoke and port still somehow wafts into rooms without warning well over 100 years after his death. 38. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, Calgary, Alberta. A stalwart of Canada's historic railway hotels, the Fairmont Banff Springs has been associated with the paranormal since its construction in 1888. One notable tale includes an unfortunate bride-to-be who immolated herself when descending the Campbell stairs in full wedding attire. The ghost bride of the Fairmont Banff Springs, as she has since been dubbed, can supposedly still be found in the hotel's ballroom eternally waiting for her first dance.